Nothing in this podcast is intended as investment advice, and the people in this podcast may hold positions in the stocks they talk about. Do not buy any investment based solely on a tip or recommendation. Please do your own research.
Hello and welcome to the Midweek Takeaway. Today we're joined by Professor Richard Conroy, Chairman of Karelian Diamonds. Welcome, Richard.
Good to talk with you.
Very good. Yeah, so obviously not a company that we've featured on the roast before, but today we saw the announcement that the company has paid the compensation due to the landowners, allowing the company Karelian to proceed with initial work on the mining concession area of the Lahtojoki, excuse my pronunciation, you'll have to correct me on that one further down, the diamond deposit in Finland. The company has been granted land possession over the entire mining concession area after the National Land Survey of Finland established the mining concession. While two landowners have appealed the compensation and one landowner has appealed the boundary line, this does not affect the company's entitlement to land possession. The Lahtojoki diamond deposit contains high-quality, colourless and coloured diamonds, including sought-after pink diamonds. It sounds like it's all stations go now, Richard.
It is indeed, but it's been a long period because the Finnish system allows everyone to make representations at a public meeting and follow them up with written representations and the company. And then the National Land Survey of Finland does its investigations, comes to its conclusions, and again there's a public meeting. So it's a very long process at the best of times. But of course, this time you had an extra 3 years delay because of COVID. So we've been twiddling our thumbs in relation to it for quite a while. But now, of course, the whole thing opens out and the system, even though it's very rigid, works very well from the point of view, certainly of a mining company. And the system is not particularly designed for a mining company. The fact we're bringing in a mine, it could equally well be a ski resort, a holiday camp, whatever. The procedures are exactly the same. And the decisions as to the compensation are exactly the same. And under these provisions, we have the land possession of it. We don't own it. The landowners will still get it back ultimately, but we have possession of it. Well, we go through the necessary preparations for bringing in a mine, preparations of actually building the mine itself, and then for whatever the duration of the mine may be, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, we have possession for the entirety of the time that we feel that mining is or should be in progress. It's checked out every 5 years to ensure that we're actually doing that. But apart from that, we have it indefinitely for this very reasonable consideration of 162,000, or perhaps a little more, one or two people get a little bit more. But basically, that's it. And of course, that is very competitive compared with the sort of price you could pay here anywhere in Britain or Ireland or Canada or Australia, really, pretty well anywhere. So it's a very satisfactory from a financial point of view and from a point of view of actually possessing the land, which is what we now do from as long as a mine or mining processes are going on there. So we're very pleased and we can now proceed. But it was a long, long wait.
Long process, yeah. So let's just try and understand things here. And obviously for the listeners who may not know the Karelian Diamond story. So the company was established in 2005 and admitted to AIM the same year. You've got the Lahtojoki diamond deposit in the Karvi region of Finland, and I believe there's a PEA, a preliminary economic assessment on the deposit, has been completed, and a mining permit to proceed with development is currently being processed. Do you want to just talk us through this and also the other deposits within the company's assets?
The background here is that we've known Finland for a very long time. In another company, we had a very significant zinc deposit that we had discovered and were bringing in as a mine. And we had Outokumpu, which is a major Finnish company, as a joint venture partner in relation to that mine. We're working with them. Found them very good to work with. But at that time, foreign companies couldn't work in Finland. And after Finland gained its full independence and was allowed to join the EU and NATO, and now joining NATO and all the rest of it, we already had visited Finland on many occasions, and we were very impressed by it. It's a tremendous country for mining. But what was particularly of interest to us was that just across the border from Finland, northern Finland, two major diamond discoveries had been made. One was at Lamminasova, the Lamminasova ore bodies, diamond ore bodies, and the other is generally referred to as the Grib pipe. They're both now in production. And although people perhaps don't realize it, Lamminasova is the second largest diamond mine in the world. And the Grib pipe is a major diamond mine. It's nowhere near the size of Lamminasova. It's still a major international diamond mine. And these two mines were discovered and are now in production in the same geology as you have on the Finnish side of the border. And so our rationale has been to follow this up and see if there could be on the Finnish side of the border significant mining potential. Now, we had evidence for that, obviously in the geology as such, but also in what we were discussing and you were mentioning at the beginning of the program, Lahtojoki, a diamond deposit, by no means an international diamond deposit of enormous size or anything like that. It's a modest deposit, although it's very interesting and it has coloured stones in it. But nonetheless, a diamond deposit, providing the best possible proof that you could have that diamonds also occurred in Finland. It wasn't across the border in Russia only. It occurred in Finland. But the challenge for us has been, well, let's see if we could find something even anywhere near as large as Lamminasova. And you're in very, very major territory. Looking for diamonds, however, in many ways is a very tedious business, like looking for a needle in a haystack, sometimes people describe it as, but it can be very valuable and very rewarding if you're successful. And the way that things tend to come together all at the one time. One, the Lahtojoki situation, we've now got mining possession of Lahtojoki indefinitely, and at the same time, the work on exploration, which is centered on the eastern side of Finland, close to the Russian border, in Kuufmo, we've now got a whole series of very, very exciting-looking targets. So both on the exploration side, which is where we originally started, and on the mining side, with Lahtojoki, we have just in the really last matter of months, really, between getting the permission and seeing these marvelous, the exciting results on the drone geophysics, and things have moved very, very swiftly forwards after many years of tedious but very important and very necessary work. You don't usually make a world-class discovery without a lot of work, and I've been involved in one or two.
Sure.
So the situation in Finland is very exciting. And the way, again, that these things come together, we were in the course of checking out on a reported diamond occurrence in Ireland. Seems to have been genuine enough. But anyway, whether it was or not, we obviously, when it was in our backyard, decided to check it out. We haven't found any very great supportive evidence of the diamond. But what we did find, and what sometimes happens in relation to diamond exploration, you're always on the watch out for it, is we found indications of what could be a very exciting nickel, copper, and platinum group metals situation in the north of Ireland. And we're following this up as well. And so we now find ourselves in the space of a couple of years, after many years of tedious work, we now find ourselves with one, an actual possession of a diamond mine and able to go ahead with it. Two, our exploration program has reached a very, very exciting stage indeed in Kuufmo in Finland. And three, we seem to have most exciting potential in exploration potential in Northern Ireland for nickel. And of course, you know the story of the Voisey Bay discovery, one of the largest nickel discoveries in the world, was basically made when people were out looking for diamonds, because there are certain common characteristics between nickel indicators and diamond indicators. And I'm not saying that we've got Voisey Bay in Northern Ireland, but we've certainly got quite an exciting situation. So it's a great time for the company, I must say. Really exciting. It's nice to have brought out this statement this morning, this news release, that we have finally agreed the compensation for the landowners, and indeed at a very reasonable price.
Yeah. I was just looking, so the Lamminasova mine that you mentioned, alluded to, and obviously the Grib pipe. So I believe one of them, the Lamminasova, is an underground operation that produces a variety of diamonds, and the Grib pipe, on the other hand, is an open pit. What would the Lahtojoki asset in Finland be then?
It's an open pit. It's quite close to the surface. The one disadvantage, if you can call it, when you're referring to the second largest diamond mine in the world, the one disadvantage that it has is that it's quite deep. And that obviously increases your financial costs, your technical challenges, and all that sort of thing. The Lahtojoki mine, on the other hand, is literally beside the surface. In fact, the overburden from it has been removed by previous operators. So it's literally, you're talking about a few meters.
I was going to ask you the question. Tell the viewers, how does the diamond mine, one, get identified, and two, how do the diamonds get formed, whether close to the surface or deeper down?
Well, the diamonds are basically formed from carbon, and they're formed very deep under the surface. You're talking about kilometers under the surface. And to get to the surface, they need to have what's known as a kimberlite pipe. And the diamonds then come up through the kimberlite pipes to the surface, or close to the surface. That's the actual process. And so when you're looking for diamonds, you look for kimberlite pipes. But as I say, they carry the diamonds up to the surface. It doesn't necessarily mean that every kimberlite pipe has diamonds in it. But nonetheless, if you're exploring for diamonds, what you will very often do, as we've done indeed in Finland, is to follow up the trains of these kimberlite pipes. When the kimberlite pipes reach the surface, they're like miniature volcanoes or miniature mountains, and over the millions of years, the actual material gradually moves down along the ice movement. The glacial direction moves down along it. And so one way of exploring and finding them is to discover the indicator minerals and to trace them back to source, and then hope that the source contains diamonds. Incidentally, one of the great encouragements that we have over in Kufmo is that we not only got very good kimberlite trains, but that we actually found a diamond there. And of course, that's the best thing of the lot, because you then know you actually have diamonds, and that there are kimberlite pipes there, which are carrying diamonds. So we're very excited, I must say, over the Kufmo situation now.
So the capex required to extract these diamonds is very capital intensive or not?
It's actually not very capital intensive. It's a very simple process. As I've said, diamonds are basically made from carbon. It's environmentally, of course, also very non-intrusive. And what you basically go down and as the old diamond miners did, they literally dig them out and put them on a tray and wash them down. Our processes will be perhaps a little bit more sophisticated than that, but still basically the same. You go down, you bring up your actual material containing the diamonds, and you wash out the diamonds from them. So it's a very simple process. I've been involved in gold mines and base metal mines, and they're particularly the base metal mines, infinitely more complicated in a whole series of processes in your mill for extraction and reduction and all sorts of things. Diamond extraction is very, very simple, very, very straightforward indeed.
We said before we started this interview that in a way, the company has been dormant for a while because it's basically been for all of this information. And you corrected me straight away and said, we've been very good, we haven't been able to announce anything. So I accept, but to the market, you have been dormant. So you're sitting here at sort of £1.5 million market capitalization with all blame. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I can quite understand it. The market is the market. People put in their money as risk capital and hopefully make some money on it. Doesn't always happen, but that's what they hope. And we were in a situation in which we indicated what we were trying to do, but it's taken a long time. That's the reality of it. Now, of course, we're in a totally transformed situation in which, one, we have permission to go ahead with a diamond mine. Two, we have a whole series of targets, which, if we're lucky, could be very large targets indeed. It's taken years to find them, but we've found them now. And three, of course, we have the enormously exciting situation of possibly a nickel platinum group copper discovery. So we've moved from the share price may not have appreciated it yet, but that's very, very reasonable. And one can't give any guarantees. But nonetheless, we're very, very happy, I'd have to say. After all this work, to suddenly see it all coming together is very exciting, and it's up to the market, but I'm sure at some stage the market will reflect it. I've seen this before in previous discoveries when we discovered Galmoy. Even after we'd publicly announced all the findings and so on, price sat there think around about 20-something p. Then some people began to realize the implications of it, and the price gradually rose up to 100, up to 200. Then people really began to realize this was something and was coming about. It was going to be a mine. And the price eventually went up to over £7.50. And a lot of people made a lot of money. But it was a long time coming. Big discoveries often take a long time. And it's up to people now to make up their mind. You can make money, you can lose money. But the object of the exercise in exploration, we've always aimed to make major economic discoveries, as we have at Galmoy, as we have at the still working gold mine out in Alaska, Pogo, is an excellent gold mine out there, as at the discoveries that we've made. And I'm talking about we, I mean management, have made in the district, gold district in Ireland, and now these discoveries in Finland. We've always aimed at a major discovery. That doesn't mean you're always going to succeed. The odds are very much against you. But if you do succeed, on the other hand, of course, you get a very rich reward.
Yeah. So from the point of view of capital expenditure and the next moves, what is coming?
And point of view of capital expenditure, I suppose there are two aspects to it. One is the capital expenditure to bring in a mine, and we'll be looking at that and considering whether or not we should do it all ourselves. I doubt it. I think what would be much more sensible is to bring in a joint venture or to seek out a joint venture partner. Not one of the very large diamond companies. The mine isn't big enough really for them. But there are a number of junior mining companies in the diamond world, and we could well discuss with them the possibility of a joint venture in relation to Lahtojoki. Over in Kufa, of course, is an entirely different situation. There, if we are so lucky as to make the sort of discovery that we've been aiming at over these years, and we're really very excited at the current situation, but if you make a discovery that is even remotely as large as Lahtojoki, as Lomonosova, then, of course, the really major diamond companies and everyone else is very interested in that, because you're looking at very serious sums of money indeed. And equally well, I think the future in the green economy, nickel is going to be needed for it, copper is going to be needed for it, and I think the platinum group metals, there's always a market there. So if we make a discovery in Northern Ireland, that also could be very beneficial. But we are at the moment a tiny company. The potential is really very big.
Okay, so just tell us, I mean, obviously the RNS focused on these coloured diamonds. So what's the significance of these? Obviously, everybody sees a diamond as, one of the hardest substances on the planet. It can obviously be for jewelry, it can be used for industry. So obviously the great value, I presume, is in jewelry quality diamonds.
Absolutely.
Other diamonds are obviously used for manufacture and for cutting and all of those type of things. Mm-hmm. So give us an idea, both from, industrial to jewelry to these colored diamonds. What is the sort of financial implications of finding these different types of diamonds?
Well, for the industrial diamonds, they are, as you say, diamonds are exceptionally hard. And so, for example, when we are drilling, be it for gold, be it for nickel, or be it for diamonds themselves, the actual cutting bit of the rig, it's lined with tiny industrial diamonds, because they are so strong that you can actually bore through other rock. Thus you talk about diamond core drilling, and that's where you're using diamonds industrially. There are other uses as well. But the actual commercial value of such industrial diamonds is, of course, minute. It really relates to the volume of them that you're selling rather than to the actual price of the particular diamonds, the tiny grains of them. If you move up, though, into the larger size diamonds, where you're talking about half a carat, 1 carat, 2 carats, and so on, then you're in a very different milieu. And there it's the actual quality of the diamond you're looking at. Things such as the translucency of the diamond, the color of the diamond, these sort of quality items in relation to a diamond, as well, obviously, as the carat size, 3 Cs they sometimes call it. So the actual value moves up exponentially when you're looking at diamonds like that, and moves up exponentially in accord with the size of the diamond, the carat size of the diamond, and the actual quality of the diamond. And they're very beautiful, very expensive, and that's where in a diamond mine you would normally make most of your money. The industrial portion of it would be relatively minute in most diamond mines.
This is where we talk about the color of the diamonds, and then the clarity, which would be the VS or the VVS or perfect.
Yes, the clarity and those matters, clarity and quality and the size of the carat and so on. That's been traditional for diamonds down through the ages. But what has come much more into focus in the last 20 years or so has been the actual color of the diamond as well, and particularly if it's colored pink, although blue and indeed yellow also do quite well. But if you've got a colored diamond in good quality, it has to be a good quality diamond, you may get a price for that diamond 20 times the price you'd pay for a similar sized translucent diamond, which is colorless. So the actual income from colored diamonds, particularly pink diamonds, can be enormous. And one saw this with the Rio Tinto's diamond mine in Western Australia, Argyle mine, and there 5% of the diamonds were pink. But that 5% of the diamonds which were pink, and the other diamonds were good diamonds too, that 5% of the pink diamonds, that accounted for over 55% of the actual revenue of the mine. So pink diamonds are enormously important, and one of the great attractions to us of the Lahtojoki diamond deposit, which is a relatively small deposit, but it nonetheless, 20 or so years ago, when previous operators, at a time when people didn't really put the same value on pink diamonds, noted the fact that there was about 7% of colored diamonds and 3% specifically pink diamonds. And that 3% is now very, very valuable and could have a very marked effect on the finances and on the profits of the Lahtojoki mine. So the color is very important. If you get a very large diamond which is colored, you can really go to extraordinary figures.
I was just reading some previous news articles about some of the pink diamonds that have been, let's say, auctioned off at Sotheby's, and there was a couple. There was one from they named it the Sakura meaning cherry blossom, effectively. So obviously that was auctioned in Geneva for $29 million at a 15.81 carats.
Oh.
And then you've got even Canadian miner Dominion sold $13 million worth of pink diamonds as well from their diamond mine in Canada. So there have been quite a few instances of rare pink diamonds fetching, multiple tens of millions at auction.
Oh, absolutely. No. We wouldn't mind one or two of those at Lahtojoki now. It would be very nice.
So basically, the pink diamonds would hit the jackpot.
Could well be. It certainly, at the time, when previous operators were looking at Lahtojoki, you didn't have that situation. But you do now. That's the reality of it in diamond terms, in financial terms. And as you rightly pointed out, if you even were so lucky as to find 2 or 3 large carat pink diamonds, more than cover the costs of the entire operation. So it's a very exciting situation. But even on, as it were, ordinary pink diamonds, as I say, in that very large diamond mine that Rio had out in Western Australia, which, by the way, has now closed, which means that there's still the demand for the big diamonds, but the main supplier of them is no longer there, which is another very attractive and important reason for developing Lahtojoki.
Okay, well, we look forward to welcoming you back on in the future and updating the market. Professor Richard Conroy of Karelian Diamonds, thanks very much for your time.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Richard.
This podcast was brought to you by Roast PR Limited. If you would like to appear on a future episode of The Sunday Roast, please email admin@thesundayroast.net